Well, Emmy fans, big question on everybody's mind, I'm sure, is what's going to win for Best Comedy Writing. Here to figure it out are Gold Derby contributing editors Amanda Spears, Riley Chow, Tom O'Brien, Tony Ruiz, and myself, Zach Laws. Nominated in this category, we've got two Atlanta episodes, Alligator Man and Barbershop. We've got two Barry episodes, Chapter 1, Make Your Mark, and Chapter 7, Loud, Fast, and Keep On Going. Keep going, excuse me. We've got another Silicon Valley submission, 51%, and we've got the pilot for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Now, Amanda, I know that you've got some very strong feelings about this, and the odds are in your favor, so make the case for why The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is going to win this award. And do you see anything kind of coming in out of left field and disrupting it?
No, but here's my point. 2017 nominees were Atlanta, BAN, Atlanta, Streets of Lock, Silicon Valley, Success Failure, Veep, Georgia, Veep, Groundbreaking, and the winner, Master of None, Thanksgiving. And since this plays out almost exactly the same as last year's nominees, with entering The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel taking Master of None's spot, it is the winner. And it will be lovely to see Amy Sherman Palladino finally win the award. She should have won 26 years ago. And I read an interview with her. It's amazing. She can tell you the episodes that were nominated for Murphy Brown that she lost to. It's pretty incredible because most people are like, I don't know. I think there was a this in there. So, yeah, I think almost, if you want to say by default, but it is a brilliantly written episode. And will win easily. I'm done.
Well, let me ask you this, Tony. I know you're an Atlanta fan like I am. They do have two episodes submitted here. They did not win for writing last year. They did win for directing for Donald Glover for BAN. Is there a chance, with the 16 nominations, including the two in the writing category, that it could possibly upset here? Or does the fact that it's a double nominee hurt its chances and help Maisel's?
I think that the best thing for Amy Sherman Palladino is the fact that the name that is missing from this list is Teddy Perkins. Mm-hmm. I think if the Teddy Perkins episode of Atlanta, if they had submitted it, and they didn't, they did not submit the most talked about episode, which surprised me. But the fact that that episode is not on this list kind of clears the way for Maisel. And I agree with Amanda that the Maisel pilot is perfect. It is a perfect, pilots are so difficult because you have to do so much in a pilot. You have to establish the world, you have to establish the characters, you have to establish the plot. And it has to be engaging and believable and make you want to keep watching. And the Maisel pilot is perfect in every way. Now, I don't think I think it deserves to win far and away. I think the only thing that could prevent it is if the voters, now correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't believe that are the names of the writers on the ballot?
No.
Okay. I think that actually also helps Maisel because Donald Glover's name is not on the ballot. If they saw Donald Glover's name next to the Alligator Man episode submission, then I think there'd be a bigger threat because Donald Glover is Donald Glover. He is ubiquitous. He is everywhere. But that being said, I think a possible spoiler in this is actually the pilot of Barry. This would be a way for them to reward that show and its breakout success. Maisel is probably going to win, is in a good position to win comedy series. So Amy Sherman Palladino can get her Emmy there. Maybe this is where they reward Bill Hader for that. And so I think Maisel is comfortably ahead, but I don't think it's a lock.
And Riley, let me also posit this to you as well. Yes, true. Their names are not on the ballots in this category, but we have seen in the last couple of years people like Aziz Ansari, Louis C.K., Tina Fey as well. They have rewarded actors who have created their own shows. So, does that work in Hader's favor as well?
I mean, I guess it should, but I would actually think the other Barry episode is more likely, because I think that they were both nominated indicates that they were watching Barry. And in general, people who watch Barry liked that 7th episode better than they liked the pilot. I'm happy to see that 7th episode nominated because it's written by Liz Sarnoff, who is one of the core writers of Lost. She co-wrote the penultimate episode. She was also nominated for Deadwood, so it's cool to see her. I have The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel winning because I do have it winning series, but I don't know how many votes Barbershop is actually going to take away from Alligator Man. I think Barbershop was more comedic, but I think there is going to be some awareness that Donald Glover wrote the premiere, and the premiere was really the one that set the tone for Robin season.
Tom O'Brien, you're a member of the writers branch of the TV Academy, as we love to remind everyone.
And you're looking very handsome today, Tom.
Got my Emmy shirt on.
There's that Tammany hauling that we always get from.
There's a contemporary reference.
I'm not going to ask you who you're voting for, but I guess, giving us some sort of insider perspective on this, what do you think the writers, your fellow peers, are going to be looking for as they're marking off their ballot? Are they looking at it just from like the pure script, screenwriting point of view? Or, do we have to take into consideration maybe they're just fans of the show overall, and so they're going to want to vote for it?
There is some of that. I do understand that. For those people who really take it seriously, I think they're looking for some complexity. And Atlanta provides that, especially with Alligator Man. But I don't think there's been anything that I have seen, and I've not seen all the nominees yet, and I will when it's voting time. I don't think anything approaches Mrs. Maisel in terms of complexity, because it has to shift gears halfway through, because you're being told one story, and then all of a sudden a twist happens, and the focus then changes to her. And that's really tough to break off. And as Tony had said, I believe Tony said that you want to be able to get the audience hooked enough so that they'll come back. And I think it does both of those very, very well. I don't want to say I'm voting for it necessarily, but I got to say that the nominations, the way Atlanta may split, the way Barry may split, Silicon Valley no. It was really, I think, it favors Mrs. Maisel. And I think the Gold Derby predictors may be very well rewarded if they put that first.
It does seem like one of those really kind of easy calls to make, especially, when you look through, recent winners in this category. They like pilots, they like first season shows. So it kind of looks like things are sort of dropping in its favor. Is there some kind of scenario where we could see it not winning? What are the major?
The TV Academy's sexist.
There you go. Well, what if?
Sorry, I'll stop.
What if Liz Sarnoff wins for Barry? I guess
that's not going to happen. But I will say that the writers, they really like Atlanta. Like, it did win Best New Series at the Writers Guild Awards over a bunch of dramas like Stranger Things and This Is Us and Westworld. And last year, I think their episodes might have been a bit more evenly matched, especially since, we know what BAN is, but if you're not following, episode titles like we are, then that is not going to stand out on a ballot. Whereas Alligator Man obviously is the one with an alligator in it. So I think if The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel wins comedy, as I'm thinking, it'll take writing. But if I'm wrong and Atlanta wins series, then I think it could easily take writing.
She's so overdue. I know everybody doesn't want to hear my rant, but she wrote a very impactful episode of Roseanne about birth control at a time where that was considered a taboo topic. And before everybody hated her, Roseanne. And then she really, really deserved a nomination. at some point from the writers branch for Gilmore Girls. She had an episode in there, Friday Nights All Right for Fighting, in her final season, where she literally gives Aaron Sorkin a word per minute run for his money, where it's like, I don't know how they were able to get through that dialogue. If I spoke that fast, I'd have been like, hold on, before the next take, I need to take a breather. Like, it's incredible that she's been so patient and resilient that now she has got her chance. And I will just say this. We spent so much time this season talking about men who don't deserve attention. Let's stop and applaud Daniel Palladino, who they did not submit for either writing or directing, her co-showrunner. He did put that on your plate. I can't do the voice. I went back and just watched it, trying to see if I could get that down. Can't do it. But he had a good episode where it was comedic, and they could have submitted him for writing or directing, and they didn't. And whether that was strategic or he actually stepped aside, it's still lovely to see him letting her have her chance at this.
Well, he might also went for comedy series later.
I know, but he's not. They didn't go.
No,
we're going to submit one of them we're going to submit both of them for writing. We're going to submit both of them for directing. They really just went with Amy Sherman Palladino, and that's lovely to see a guy who's okay with. At least it appears that he's okay with it.
No, I agree with you. I mean, it's an incredibly kind-hearted and chivalrous thing for him to do. I think
we spent too much time talking about a-holes this year, so let's stop and pause.
I think it definitely helps, though. That it would be nice to see them all have a trophy for the achievement of the show, I should say. Well, I hate to. I mean, do we have anything more to talk about in this?
Yeah, I'll say something.
Thank you, Riley.
You know how you say that Amy Sherman Palladino is overdue, but Alec Berg has actually been nominated 16 times, and he has not won because he's been nominated
at least he's
for
getting nominated.
Silicon
They've just
Valley and
completely
Barry
ignored
and
her.
Curb Enthusiasm, Seinfeld, and now he's the first since 1975 to be nominated for 2 shows in this category.
Let me just check one thing real quick before we go, because I know that she was up against 2 Seinfeld episodes. I just want to make sure it wasn't Alec Berg. Just 1 second.
While you check, I just want to note that as Amanda knows,
It was not.
No. Yeah. Right.
As Amanda knows, writers can be very cold-hearted, and someone is being due doesn't phase writers.
I know. I'm just saying I think it's nice to see she might finally be at a point where she's waited so long she might get her due.
I agree. I would just say don't necessarily predict her only because she's due.
No, I wouldn't predict a writing win for that reason.
I would say, I mean, if you're going to pick a number 2, which you have to, I think Alec Berg.
I know I have to rank them.
I think Alec Berg and Bill Hader for Barry would be a good solid choice because of, it is a pilot. The show did very much better than expected in terms of nominations. 13 overall, just 1 less than Maisel. And I know their names aren't on the ballot, but perhaps because Alec Berg ain't going to be splitting his vote with Silicon Valley. As wonderful a show as that is, I mean, Barry is just the new thing, and that's what they're looking for. I would say that's probably a good solid number 2, and then after that, I would think Alligator Man.
That's my 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
because I think it all goes back to if they don't go for Maisel for writing, there's a pretty safe bet that Maisel's going to win comedy series, so she gets an Emmy there. Donald Glover's most likely going to win comedy actor again. There we go. The one place where they could really reward Bill Hader is in writing, or it could swap. Who knows? I mean, Bill Hader and Donald Glover are up against each other in 5 separate categories. So,
well, and I think the one thing that helps The Marvelous Miss Maisel more than any other show, even on the drama side, is the social relevance of it all. These are about 2 women breaking into male-dominated fields, and it could have a run like The Handmaid's Tale did last year, where it's like, this is where we're gonna make our socially conscious vote. And it's still funny. It's one of the rare hour-long shows that finds a way to still be funny. Even that speech at the beginning at her wedding, it's still funny. So,
I mean, this could be the kind of evening where, you know, we see these 3 shows kind of split up all over the place, you know, and we're still not knowing what's going to win comedy series at the end of the night. But you're right. I mean, if it does go on this kind of a sweep, then certainly writing would be an obvious place for it to win as well. But it's going to be interesting to see how these 3 shows, one of which was arguably the number 2 last year, and then you've got these 2 new kids on the block, how these 3 are going to split up the votes. So let's just go lightning round. Any last thoughts before we close up this category? That seems a little too clear cut than I like. Starting with you, Tony.
I just think, first of all, Maisel deserves to win. It's not even close for me. I so agree with Amanda. I want to see Amy Sherman Palladino, and I'm not even. I was never a Gilmore Girls fan. It's not. I knew that was coming, but not that I disliked it. It just was never on my radar at the time. But she deserves to win this.
Tom O'Brien. Sorry, my dog is petting me.
If Alligator Man happens to upset Mrs. Maisel in this category, look for a crocodile to appear in Mrs. Maisel for season 2.
Riley.
You know, I would have loved to have seen Search Party and Vice Principals nominated.
Amen. Amanda.
I love Vice Principals. I love the writers branch. They really, I think, arguably, even under a plurality vote, you could see how their winners would have won under a rank system. And yes, I'm including Battle of the Bastards in there because I don't see it, but I'm sure there are writers who could explain the complicated nature of writing that kind of an episode. So I just think I think Tony said it best. It's a perfect pilot. It really, really hit it out of the park. And I know everyone's running my intervention this year, but I'm trying to stay rational about this. But I just think this is lined up pretty well for her. I mean, this category, I mean, directing, she's got a little bit more of a race on her hands, but I think writing, it looks good.
Well, this seems way too easy, which makes me really worried about what's going to happen on Emmy night. But stay with us for even more Emmy videos because there's about 1,000 categories we're going to talk about. Thank you so much for watching.
That's our conversation on prosthetic makeup.
And non-prosthetic as well.
Yeah, there we go.